Hello and welcome to A Piece of String, the show that brings together comedians and scientific minds to ask and answer the biggest of all questions ever. I'm Matthew Shribman. I'm a chemist and biophysicist by training, and with me today are Josie Peters, an astrophysicist.
Hello.
Sophie Ward, a biomedic and neuroscientist.
Hello.
And James Wells, an engineer.
Hello.
Each of us will ask a question to which one of us secretly knows the answer, and points will be allocated on a tyro-arbitrary basis by our producer, Sam Lee. The winner will get this small slice of carrot that I am holding in my mouth.
Ew.
Sophie, what's your question today?
Matt, my question is, where is the grass actually greenest?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I want hope for the future.
So it's on the other side, right? So,
But which side?
which side is that?
Exactly.
What's the other one? So anywhere where people aren't?
Oh, because there's no one standing on it and no one eating it, so it's just free to roam.
Exactly, because no one's
Roam.
I'm just going to forget that little audio typo there.
Grows and roams, that's all right.
Yeah, grow and roam. Although, I suppose if you've got an animal there, then it fertilises it naturally, so you might get a greener grass with animals nearby because it's got more nutrients coming in.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers said take it on the other side. Maybe we should ask them.
And here we have our special guests.
The Red Hot Chills. So Sophie, have you been looking for the greenest grass for a while?
I just feel like I always get told that the grass is greener on the other side, and I'm always looking for a better life than what I currently have.
Right, I see.
I was thinking though, I was thinking artificial grass. Maybe we just need to make you should make your own good opportunities. Maybe we just need to make our own greenest grass. Maybe that's where the grass is greenest.
Like GM or plastic.
Either or, I'm open to suggestions, I think.
Josie, can we adapt the atmosphere so that we can get a bit more green coming in?
Can I personally do it? At the moment, I don't quite have the tools.
But what would we actually physically have to change to get a bit more green in?
The sky is blue because there's something to do with the way that the light particles, photons from the sun come in and scatter off the molecules and everything, whatever that's in the atmosphere, and they preferentially scatter blue.
Yeah.
So if we could maybe change it for different particles or molecules or whatever that were in the atmosphere, then they could preferentially become green. So something to do with the size, I think.
But then if the sky was green, would that make the grass green?
Well, maybe we don't want the sky green, but more green light coming through because we want to up the green intensity. I guess we could just we could light it. We could light it.
Feels like a cheating method there, doesn't it? Ireland is very green.
The Emerald Isle, indeed.
I'm banging on about Ireland.
So we think that's where the grass might be greenest then, in Ireland.
There, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's there.
Yeah, do you reckon if you're surrounded by more green, then it enhances the green that you have? Or if you put a nice clashing pink with the green, does it make the green greener?
Oh,
That's what I was wondering,
yeah.
what's that called? Complementary Colors when they're opposite.
Yeah, what's it, the other side of the colour wheel or something like that?
So I was thinking, is there a place where it's very red sand maybe with bit of sneaky green grass going out, and it's whoa.
But is there a place that maybe doesn't have green grass, but metaphorically is the best place on Earth?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
They say that Denmark is the happiest, right? But then Bhutan are the place where they've got the index of happiness, where they measure their own success. Gross national happiness. They measure instead of, as one of their main indicators.
Really?
Yeah.
Indicators of what? Sorry.
Indicators of success of the country. So they...
I mean, that should be the case, should it not?
Wait, so where do you say Bhutan?
Bhutan.
So
yeah.
they measure happiness.
This makes it sound really facile, but they've got really clever ways of measuring how satisfied people are with their lives.
Do you think being measured reduces your happiness?
It does for me, honestly. When I get around my waist, that measuring tape.
I find it always very disappointing, but anyway.
It depends how you measure though, doesn't it?
Okay, wait, but Denmark might be the happiest place. It's funny, is it because they say that the further north you go, actually, there's less sunlight, so people are less happy. But
more likely to get seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, but actually then you hear that some of the countries are really happy, that are actually...
But that's not to do with the environment, right? That's to do with
community.
Taxes. Yeah. well, because the wealthy are taxed a lot more than they are everywhere else, so the distribution of wealth is better, so that everyone's happier.
Yeah.
So you haven't got such a disparity between rich and poor, whereas you go somewhere else, and that's why people steal if they don't have anything in the world.
I always thought it was a lot to do with community. When you go further north, it's quite cold, and so people have to kind of hang out inside more. and like forced to hang out together.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Also, what's the
Pretty sure people hang out
just
everywhere.
pushing up my metaphorical nerd glasses? What is the population of Denmark? Is it small compared to other countries, or is it medium
It's
sized?
quite small.
Well, I was reading a book recently that mentioned statistics, and that if you called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Anyway, talking about the law of small and large numbers, so everyone sort of intuitively knows that when you have a large number of people in a sample or a trial, whether it's medical, this, that, or whatever it is, you know that your results are more reliable because you have a bigger sample. You've drawn from more varied things. What also goes in tow with this is that if you have something that is smaller, you're more likely to get an extreme result. So if you had 4 dice and you continually rolled them and thought, oh, what if I get all 6s? You're more likely to get all 6s than if you had 7 dice. So you're more likely to get an extreme result. So are more people happy in Denmark because it really is? Or is it smaller and thus you're more likely this random occurrence that there could be more happy people is just chance?
So the Gates Foundation were like choosing which schools to invest in.
Yes.
And they found that the best schools in America were all these really small schools. And they're like, well, we have to make loads of small schools. So they started breaking up big schools into little schools, being like, oh, obviously these are going to be better. But they didn't actually look at the statistics to see that also all of the worst schools were also really small schools, because those are the outliers, because those are the ones with small sample sizes. So bit of a waste of time, wasn't it?
Yeah. We've read that same book.
But yeah, we did. But Denmark seems pretty happy.
So the metaphorical grass might be greenest in Denmark,
And they have the pastries.
but actually green grass, what, island with a green sky? I don't know, who's got an answer to this?
Yeah, I was going to say, did anyone research an answer in brackets? I did. So
Okay.
I'll,
Sneaky.
Well.
so I'll say. Okay, so this is quite difficult, as I think we've discovered trying to talk about it. But here are the things that I came up with. One thing, a little bit irrelevant, but I thought it was really cool, is that the Earth, if you looked at it from outer space, used to look purple, we think, because plants now absorb red and blue light and they reflect green, which is why they look green. But back when it was cyanobacteria that were doing all the photosynthesis and bringing all the energy to the Earth, we think they actually absorbed green light and reflected red and blue. So actually the Earth used to look like a big purple and blue kind of ball. It's pretty sick. Okay, so the other thing, so this is more relevant. Grass is a monophyte, which means that it is a plant which is entirely made up of one single leaf. It doesn't have like a shoot or a trunk like most other plants. And that's why if you want to have really green grass, then the most important thing is to mow it repeatedly. Because by mowing it, you constantly kill any other kind of plant, because the only plant that can repeatedly survive being mowed is grass, because it's always got a bit of leaf at the bottom that it can use to repeatedly grow back. So the greenest grass is the grass that you mow all the time.
Although mowing your grass continually makes it greener, the smell that you get at the end is actually a distress signal from the grass. So you're happier with the greenness, but your nice green cut grass is actually very, very sad.
Technically, there is a grass that, like the grass of rice fields, that has been genetically modified to overexpress chlorophyll. So that is actually maybe the greenest grass ever.
And just to tie that off, so I was right in the island thing because it grows in a paddy.
It's all really about perception, isn't it? I mean, different people perceive green differently. You've got the Himba tribe, who can perceive loads of different kind of greens because of the way they learn about greens and their language as well, structuring that in their early life. So they can literally tell the difference between greens that we see as completely the same. And so there's a lot of, it's very difficult to say what is the greenest when people have such different perceptions of what green is. But actually, I thought it was quite a nice way to end it, because it just depends on whether you think the grass is greener on the other side or on your own side already. James, what's your question today?
If there was a bare-knuckle gladiatorial fight between the best chosen organic thing and the best chosen inorganic thing, what would be selected for each team and which side would win?
Okay, so by inorganic, you mean like a robot would count, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Something that wasn't once alive.
Oh, so wait, so this fight has to be like actual fighting, not like, oh, put bleach against diamonds, who
Could
will
be,
win?
couldn't it, though?
Are they best chosen against each other? So it's like, oh, that's just like a constant one-upping. Like, oh, I'm going to choose a whale versus a whale net. Oh, well, then I won't choose a whale. Then I'll choose a scissors animal, like a lobster.
So to qualify that, it's going to be a simultaneous game. It's not turns. So you've got to choose and then you go.
Oh, so you've got to pick the best all-rounder that you think would win this
You
battle.
have no knowledge of what the other team has chosen.
Because the inorganic thing has to have some degree of animation, otherwise it's obviously going to lose, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's like
So
a poison.
what about, I was thinking about it, like what about a hydrogen bomb, for instance?
But can it set itself off?
If you give it a timer, yeah.
Timed hydrogen bomb.
Anyway, I was trying to
But then,
like,
yeah,
work
but
it
then-
out in
and
my
then-
mind. I was like, well, what are the big things that you could do? Is there
Is-
anything organic that could survive that?
Well, like
Yeah,
cockroaches.
tardigrades, right?
Oh, yeah, tardigrades.
Tardigrades survive everything. They're the
legends.
magical creatures that they are.
Can't get rid of them.
Even space. They've put them in space and they still...
Come back alive.
Yep, and
They
then they'll
literally
freeze
bring
them.
themselves back, right?
Basically, what we have to do is give them a bit of water and they'll come back. Have you heard much about tardigrades?
Not much, no.
They're these teeny tiny things, and they're colloquially called water bears.
yeah,
That's it.
so cute.
Because when you look at them under the microscope, they look like kind of weird, gruesome bears. But they basically can survive in loads of extreme environments. Scientists keep on trying to kill them, but then afterwards, they will give them a bit of water and they will come back to life. So
They can manage 149 degrees C heat,
Yeah.
minus 270 degrees C cold. And they can go
Pressure
up
as well,
to,
right?
yeah, the pressure of the bottom of the Mariana Trench. They can handle that. They can handle a vacuum. They can go without food or water for at least 30 years. That's as long as we've been subjecting them to it for. So
we've literally put them out in space outside the ISS and they've come back in and been like, yeah, that was fine. Give me something else.
fine, mate.
But does surviving equal winning?
That's what I thought. What
Like,
is
you
how
know,
do
like,
win?
you know, if
Well,
I
'cause
was...
the hydrogen bomb destroys itself in that scenario, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's true. So if that's, I guess, yeah, if the tardigrade survives that. But we're talking about like a bear, like the fact it's a bare knuckle gladiatorial fight. Like, I don't know. I imagine there needs to be a bit of a skirmish. Yeah, I don't know. That's what
Like
I
a
think.
Robot Wars-esque.
Like
type fun.
I could like close my eyes and like kind of run away from things, but it wouldn't mean I'd have won.
Sophie, sometimes running away it's not losing, okay?
I mean, it's not losing, but it don't make me feel good about myself. Does it, Matt? Really?
Well, I don't know.
Well, okay, that's
I
fine.
love a bit of running away from danger. Love it.
Fights. So maybe like tardigrades. How would we beat a tardigrade?
I mean, you can't. There's not even any point thinking about that.
Well, if I had a little pair of scissors, just chopped it in half, well, beat a tardigrade then.
Has anyone tried chopping a tardigrade in half?
Well, we should. Not that I'd like
That's
to.
something to look up at
How
home.
small, wait, how small are they?
You
How
need skill
small?
and intelligence to cut them in half, right? Which is not something that an inorganic thing's going to be able to do, really.
A robot programmed to do it might be able to.
And the robot programmed by an organic thing. So a human's
but that's
programmed
all right, 'cause
the robot.
in it goes, bare knuckle, got no assist.
But surely as
other
well,
than
the
its
whole
program.
The whole point of the inorganic thing is it's inorganic. Someone has to have made it somehow. Is that right?
Yeah,
Inorganic
generally
means
the-
it has to be. Is that man-made? Is that, or am I
It
don't
could
know
just
my
be
jargon.
naturally. Well, that sounds like it's made by life, right? But yeah, well, inorganic is anything that is not living. So it could have been made by a
Oh.
living thing. So I was thinking this Botox, the chemical given out by what's the name of the bacteria that gives it out?
Clostridium botulinum.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
it's
come
that.
on, jeez.
But anyway, Botox, the chemical is the most poisonous thing that we know of, I think. So yeah, I mean, obviously people inject it into their faces or whatever, but it's in like such a small concentration that obviously doesn't kill you. But by dosage, I think it's one of the most poisonous things we know of.
Can I do a quick
James is
jargon?
very skeptical.
Fair enough.
Can I do a quick jargon?
James is full of Botox right now.
Can I do a quick jargon check then? Because I think I'm
please do.
confused by the question. So by organic, you mean a living creature, and by inorganic, that doesn't mean that it's man-made. It just means it's not living. Or
So there's two branches of chemistry. Well, there's multiple: inorganic and organic. And organic is usually hydrocarbons and their sort of relatives, which are made by living things, etc. But of course, I'm including in that all living things as well. So that's fine. And then inorganic would be things that are more elemental in terms of metals, and inorganic chemistry would not contain hydrocarbons and things like that. So
Ooh.
it would be it's basically machine versus living thing is a simplistic way of doing it. But you
Okay.
could have acids and things like that. We might need to constrain the problem. Right? Let's imagine we're in a boxing ring. It's a bare knuckle fight.
Yeah.
And if you fall out the ring, then you're out.
Okay. So a metal is inorganic.
Inorganic, yes.
So if I got some iron, even though that's something that's naturally occurring,
Yeah,
that is an inorganic thing.
correct.
Okay.
So did anyone research an answer to this?
So I researched this, and if we've gathered, it's very broad. So I decided to focus in on the phrase bare knuckle. So I went for the strongest primate, and I Googled if there are any statues that are just giant fists, and there are. So in Detroit, there's a monument to a boxer called Joe Louis, and it's called the Fist. It's a massive fist. It's...
How big is it, Sophie? Come on.
The fist is just a
No,
giant
okay. And it's a 7.3 meter long arm made of bronze. Now, in a bare knuckle fight, that would literally be a bare knuckle. So I decided to go for that as my inorganic. And if my organic, I was like, well, what animals have fists? Primates. The strongest primate is the silverback gorilla. It's got skin like leather, bones like steel. A fully grown male is like about 155 kilograms. And punching a gorilla would be like punching a brick wall with a carpet draped over it. So there you go. But
This is such a wonderful decision.
I mean, that was yeah. Someone said that, and I was like, how do you know? Like, anyway. But I think even though our gorillas can run at 25 miles an hour and they're pretty strong, I don't think it would beat the giant bronze fist of Detroit. So then what I thought, okay, we've got the bronze fist. What if we allowed the animal to not have a fist? So I went for a blue whale. And blue whale, there was actually a study that kind of worked out the force of a whale, which they found a whale that was like 70,800 kilograms, and they worked out it would have a force of 60,000 newtons. That's pretty strong. But bronze can handle 241 million newtons per square metre, and our fist is 7.3 metres long, so I think it could even withstand the hit of a whale. So in my case, the inorganic thing, i.e. the Joe Louis monument, the fist, would win in the bare knuckle fight, a bare knuckle versus a whale. And now for the mystery midsection. So just before we started the show, I gave everyone the following question.
What are time crystals?
I then asked everyone to write down a fake but real sounding answer. I will now read out all of those answers with the real answer mixed in. Everyone will then get the chance to decide which answer they think is the right one. Time crystals are a pure form of the herb thyme, used as a legal high. Time crystals are gems that are formed when lava cools extremely slowly. Time crystals are a new state of matter, like solid, liquid or gas, where the particles repeat through time instead of space. A time crystal is a piezoelectric ionic crystal that slowly releases a voltage as it is compressed over time. These are now being used in smart pads to produce electricity underfoot in airports and stations. A time crystal is a crystal that holds a memory. Holding the crystal takes you back to that time in your mind. So guys, what is a time crystal?
Dun, 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 dun.
James has just been doing the crystal maze.
Have you actually just been doing the
You'll
crystal
be
maze?
pleased to know. Yeah, it was great. I got myself a couple of time crystals there.
Nice.
Wow, you weren't locked in the chamber.
Nope.
What a relief.
Nope.
Well, I
What do we
think it's could be the legal high, couldn't it? Pure time. I mean, that would pure. Imagine thyme, the herb, pure.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
Pass it over.
But then that suggested that like if you have like a little bit of time, you get a little bit high. Which I personally, well, I'm a bit high all the time, just on life. Maybe it's
Yeah,
actually
I'm
been
just
the time.
excited, yeah.
So, what do you think the answer is, Josie?
I feel like it's the special pressure one. That sounds pretty legit.
What the
When you
Oh,
put
the
the
piezo-
crystal
Yeah,
under pressure and then it releases electricity over time. Although that does sound like magic.
Yeah, whereas the memory one sounds legit.
Yeah.
Well, from a spiritual point of view, it could be you could associate that crystal with a memory.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to have scientific backing. I'm not. By the way, it seems like I'm saying which ones are real or not, but I'm just ripping into all of them.
I'm very much waiting to hear what James says because I've got two candidates basically, and I know that James made it one of them. It's just classic James. One of them, I already think I know which one it is, but I just want to see if James goes for it.
Yeah, well, it's tricky to work out. I think the lava one, it's a good idea, but usually when you're recording time with things, it needs to be quite quick. Because if it's over a long time, you haven't really recorded the time, have you? So it's not the lava one.
Wait, the lava one was when the crystals form very slowly, right?
Exactly. So I think it's wrong.
But we do get crystals when they form very slowly out of lava that form these like huge, big, the crystal cave in Mexico.
But they don't give you a good indication of when the time was that it happened.
Oh, I didn't think that. I didn't know.
Oh,
But
maybe
the
not.
time could be a measurement of time, not necessarily like this is the time. You could be like,
yeah, you're right.
here's this big crystal. Oh, this one is 1,000,000 years old. The other one's only 50,000.
Josie, you're right. I'll take that back. I'm still not going to go for it though. I'm going to
I really
go.
think you should go for it, James.
I'm going to go for the. I'm just going to go for this changing of state one because it's just so ridiculously balmy that I think it might be right. Whichever one that was. Like
New states of matter where the crystals repeat in
so
time
it's
instead of space.
Yeah.
it's a new state of matter. So we got solid, liquid, and gas. It's a new state of matter where they repeat through time instead of space.
I would like to go for that one as well. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the pressure one.
The piezoelectric one.
Pressure.
Okay, well, we've got our answers in. The correct answer is time crystals are a new state of matter.
Yeah.
No way.
So basically, where they repeat through time instead of space.
So what? They like keep.
So basically, there's been theories about them, and then evidence just last year, 2017, was found for these crystals that they repeat through time instead of space. I don't fully understand it because I'm not a genius, but it's thought as well that we can get some energy from these crystals, like somehow, because they're perpetually like in existence. Like
Whoa.
So they're changing state, are they?
No.
They're
It's a new state of
like
matter.
plasma or
So you've
whatever.
got like solid, liquid, gas, time crystals.
Where do they
amazing.
find? So wait. So sorry. So these were theoretical, and now they've found evidence.
They started to find some evidence. Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
I know.
Wait. So
Mind-blowing.
in the times in between, the matter like disappears and then comes back.
I don't actually know 100% that much about them. I want to find out more, but I think that's the thing is that they're very new.
Piezoelectric crystals was my.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that sounded legit.
It is legit. It's a real thing.
What?
They're just not called time crystals. They're called smart pads.
Smart pads. That
that's
sounds a bit
smart.
not good, doesn't it?
It's how acoustic guitar pickups work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the vibrations through the back of the string and the saddle, they wobble about this lovely little crystal that produces current when it gets wobbled in a certain way, and therefore creates the same frequency in electrical form. You can amplify it, and then you've got a lovely little tune.
Good gravy. How fascinating.
Oh.
Josie, have you got a question for us?
My question is, what would happen if we made dogs wear shoes?
Oh, well, they just rip them off. Like, have you
I
ever
mean-
tried to
What
put
have they got?
shoes on your dog? Jeez, like, not a chance, mate.
What if they're really comfy?
Okay, so from a lot of experience, if you do put shoes on a dog, because they have like proper dog shoes if they've got foot problems,
No.
then their instinct is to constantly try and shake the shoe off, right?
Yeah, Taylor Swift style.
So then they kind of like they walk, but every single it's kind of really hilarious, but also quite sad. But every single walking motion, they got the reflex to try and kick off the shoe. But if you imagine they do that with every single step, then they sort of look like they're trying to fly.
Oh my gosh, if you put little things on the bottom so they were like little tap shoes, it sounds like you'd have quite a nice little musical
Fly the
thing.
show.
Take that to Crufts for free.
Do you reckon which dogs would wear different types of shoes? Like I was thinking maybe like poodles would wear high heels.
I was going to
don't
see.
know
That's
why.
what
I was
popped into
just
my head.
thinking that,
But
yeah.
then I think maybe we should shake up our system, because I thought that as well. But maybe we should give the high heels to the whippets.
Trainers for a Jack Russell.
What kind of dog would wear like platforms?
Oh,
like that
Great
was, like,
Dane.
Great Dane, yeah.
Great Dane all the way.
I really like the idea of a Great Dane not thinking it's tall enough.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think that also we talk about like shoes and like human shoes because there's horse shoes. What if you tried to give a dog little metal shoes like a la horse?
Yeah, to protect its little feet.
Yeah, the little pads on the bottom of it.
Oh, so you could send dogs over lava or something as rescue dogs.
That was my first thought, yeah. We need those lava dogs.
But I'm thinking maybe the previous shoes that we've tried on dogs, maybe they've just not been comfortable. Maybe this would give dogs a whole new way of life. So you wouldn't have to clean their paws after a walk. You could take them on a muddy walk, put on their little Wellingtons, come back home. No one's got to hose anyone down.
But maybe dogs... Maybe dogs like getting their feet muddy though. Although there's actually been like some sort of bacteria or mold that like can harm dogs just from them being muddy. So like at the moment when we get my dog back from being on a walk, we probably have to rinse him down because there's been like a bacteria, and dogs have been like losing legs because there's been something hidden in the mud and then it's got into their legs. So maybe shoes would actually
Maybe
be
dogs
useful.
might have to wear shoes.
Or maybe if they were wearing rollerblades instead, they could escape from the bacteria. So the bacteria are on the move.
And also, that means that you could take your dog for a jog. I tried to do that once with a small Jack Russell. And bless him, he tried his hardest, but he could not keep up. Whereas if I had a dog with roller skates, wouldn't be a problem.
I think it would end up being a problem
Maybe
either way.
maybe I
like,
just need a bigger dog.
a dog with roller skates would be uncatchable.
Did anyone prepare an answer to this?
I was given the task of preparing an answer for this one. So I thought, right, how are we going to get an answer for this one? So, so some stats. We've got about 600 million dogs in the world. Now, go on, guess how many are stray and how many are owned.
It's about half and half, I reckon.
Interesting.
Is this domestic dog?
Yeah, owned or stray.
Domesticated
Yeah.
dog. Okay. 60% wild?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's 2/3.
Yeah.
She's got it. Cut it off there. So that is worth considering. So it's actually quite a big industry. If we were to manufacture, if it was a rule across the world that every dog had to have shoes, and it was enforced, it'd be something like a $30 billion industry just in manufacture, not even sort of all the other bits that go along with it. Dogs are digitigrades. Did we know this? So they walk on their toes.
Oh yeah, they've
Yeah,
got
you know that?
the heel like further.
Yeah,
up,
the dew claw, yeah.
Yeah, the dew claw, exactly,
yeah.
which is like some sort of vestigial leftover thumb, basically, that they never ended up using. It's a bit sad.
Oh, is this like why it looks like birds have got backwards knees? Because that's
Is it?
their ankle.
Oh, yes.
And it's similar with a dog. They've got a kind of backwards knee situation.
Oh.
Well, they've got the front knee as well, but they've got
Why do they do? Is it for landing or something?
Dogs or
Landing.
birds. You just drop a dog from a window, then it's backwards knee actually helps it land.
So interesting things about dogs' feet. Dogs only sweat through their nose and their pads of their feet. So the way they lose heat is, mainly through their lungs and respiratory passages. But it's also in the nose and the feet. So you've got to worry about that. We're able to sweat all over our bodies. These poor dogs are going to get so sweaty in their little shoes. So that's worth thinking about. They also have this incredible thing where they don't get frostbite in their feet because they have a counterflow heat exchange system in their feet. Not many animals have this. So essentially, the artery goes very close to the surface, providing heat straight to the cold veins that are drawing the blood back. So you get an instant hit of heat, contrary to the flow of blood out, heating up the pore, much hotter than it would if you had a sort of a human system.
Whoa.
So that's a nice one. And then, so you've got that. And they also get a little bit sweaty there, increases their grip, which is lovely. So I looked at one other thing that was mildly amusing, which was the Yukon Dog Quest, which is a 1,000-mile dog sled race from Yukon to northwest Canada. So it's basically retracing the gold rush route. And essentially they have 8 dogs and they go for about somewhere between 10 days to 20 days. And they're told to take 2 shoes for each foot that they have for the little doggies along the way. So actually, they're quite tough things, the old dog shoes.
That was a really impressive answer considering how hard that question was. That was really interesting. I mean, ultimately, you haven't answered the question, but I'm very satisfied.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I've got a question for you all. If the world were a big balloon full of oil and we kept sucking it out to fuel our economy, causing the world to slowly shrink, could we ever step from Britain across to France?
Why oil?
I didn't think this through that thoroughly. But I thought I'd just come up with something a little bit weird and see what happened.
Have you heard that song from the 60s that's like, the world is a great big onion and we've got to plant love seeds until it dies? This reminds me of that. Great song. Anyway, carry on.
What kind of oil is it?
Chestnut.
Excellent. Good job.
Chestnut
Chestnut
oil.
oil, is that a thing?
I have no idea. I was panicked.
Wait, so but we're using the oil to fuel our economy.
Yeah,
just
crude
want to
oil,
say.
crude
so I
oil.
assumed it was crude, yeah.
So we got,
Let's use an oil that no one uses.
So our economy collapses. That's the way.
well, maybe people could trade with. I guess it would be ubiquitous there. You wouldn't want to trade with something that ubiquitous.
So we're draining oil out of a balloon, and we want to get from the UK to France.
I probably would want to step over to France if that were the case.
Yeah, France by that point, mate, is going to be the size of your foot. So
Oh, wait, so everything's shrinking.
yeah, because it's a balloon, so
Oh,
everything's getting smaller
man.
as we suck out all the oil.
Right, I'd pictured a totally different scenario.
Yeah, surface of the Earth's getting smaller.
Ah.
So wait, so the surface of the Earth is a balloon. So is everything just like drawn on the Earth, like you draw on a balloon?
But if,
or is
if,
it still like the crust?
if you were, so you wouldn't have Britain and France touching, but getting,
They would get closer and
Closer
closer
together.
together because the Earth would be getting smaller and smaller.
okay. I totally imagined this a different way, but this is all
Okay.
good.
So, I mean, would all the things that are on the surface of the Earth now still be there? Would they be wobbling around? Would all the buildings have no foundations and be wibbly wobbling?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Because it's a balloon, it'd
so
be quite
you've got to
balancing.
survive that first, right?
I don't know. You got me thinking of something else, like how of something being like drawn on a balloon is a way that a lot of people describe the way that the universe is expanding. Because if you're thinking about our little Earth and that you've drawn things on the balloon and it's shrinking or it's getting bigger, you know that everything, the relative sort of distance between everything stays the same, but like physically gets different, which is also what we say about the universe expanding. So if you imagine the universe as a balloon with lots of dots drawn on it that are galaxies, and then you blow the balloon up bigger and bigger, that's how you can imagine everything are moving away from each other at the same sort of rate and keeping relative distances and stuff like that, which is quite cool.
Yeah, we're not drawn on the balloon.
Well, then we'll end up bigger than the Earth. So,
Yeah, a lot bigger. Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, so we could.
Yeah, the whole, So we're just chilling on the Earth, burning off all the oil.
We've
Earth's getting
almost
smaller.
understood the question. So now, should we try and...
Try and answer.
So basically, we need to work out what radius the Earth would have to be, right, in order for us to step over, right?
Yeah.
This be the question. Would there still be a sea? Would there still be like the channel between it? And how does that work?
Still with the channel, but the channel's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And all the water is it's pretty hot because we're burning all the oil. So the water's kind of... You can imagine the sea is shrinking at the same rate as the rest of the Earth, I reckon.
All right, how big can you step when you stretch your leg really far? I reckon I can do 1.5 meters.
A meter and a half.
That's big.
Is
Okay, we'll
it?
take
Prove
that.
it,
We'll
prove
take
it.
that. You're a champion.
I did it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Wow. I think you almost stretched to 2 meters there.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm gangly af.
It would have to be pretty small, right? Think of like a circus performer balancing on a ball. They've got problems other than just being able to step forward, right? There's not going to be a lot of gravity below you at that point. In fact, there's going to be none.
That's the other thing, there isn't even that much gravity. So I was thinking, if there was the same amount of gravity, the Earth would have to be maybe like 50-meter radius or something. But with not much gravity, you could kind of do a big step.
You wouldn't be able to stand on the balloon necessarily.
If the gravity of the Earth got lower, would you instead be more gravitationally attracted to your friends than the Earth?
Oh.
Would you start orbiting each other instead of...
Yeah, I sort of came up with this question on the basis that most of physics would just sort of disappear out. As in the normal things that we understand would kind of disappear out the window. I didn't really expect anyone to be able to come up with that good answer because I mean, it's pretty hard, isn't it?
But did anyone come up with an answer?
Did anyone come up with an answer?
Oh, well. It was me.
It was Josie Peters all along.
So, as I previously alluded to, I did not imagine the surface of the Earth being a balloon when I was looking up this. I imagined that the surface of the Earth would still be tectonic plates, countries, all this, that, and the other, and how much would the Earth have to shrink? Sophie mouths what at me and is shocked and appalled. So my initial thought was, how much of the radius would the Earth have to shrink by before we can touch France? So from Dover to Calais, it's about 21.6 miles or 35 kilometres. The circumference of the Earth, I could give you all these numbers, but I will skip to the interesting one. The radius of the Earth only has to shrink by 13 kilometres, which isn't really that far considering the entire radius, the distance from the middle to the outside, is 6,500 kilometres. So to only shrink by 13... we would then be able to literally step from Dover to Calais.
Whoa, that's cool.
If nothing underneath the surface of the countries was getting in the way, like tectonic plates or continental shelves.
Sense.
I don't know if this is right or not, but I think I sort of worked out that if you had the distance between 2 points, it was kind of proportional to 2 to the power of the radius minus 2, I think. So anyway, so that was how I tried to figure out that it was 13 kilometres. But I also found out some other cool stuff very quickly, that in the 1950s, Britain and France considered uniting. I didn't look that one up too far, but they considered being one country. But also that we did used to be able to walk from Britain to France. Around 450,000 years ago, the Dover Strait existed, which was a huge chalk ridge that basically was the extension of the White Cliffs of Dover over to France. And it acted as if sort of almost like a huge dam. So it was 330 feet high, 20 miles long, and it held back all this ice melt water. And there were 7 waterfalls that cascaded down from it. But as the Earth started to warm, something overwhelmed this basically big lake that it was holding back, and it overflowed. And this was Brexit 1.0. So
Wow. That's so
we
cool.
were actually once connected. You could have walked from Britain to France.
13 kilometres is the distance from Preston to Chorley, for you Lancastrian listeners.
And we have arrived at the end. Points have been allocated by Sam Lee according to a system that none of us understands. Sam, what's the verdict?
Josie got 36 points this week. James, bad luck, only 14, but better luck next time. Matthew, you got 20 points.
Whoa.
So you can feel really good about that. And Sophie is this week's winner with 440 billion points.
Yes. What? Zing.
Time to hand over that carrot.
How did she get? Was there like a big multiplier? Or was it one of those things where there's one thing that had loads of points?
Well, I fed the number of words each of you spoke in this week's recording session through a processor that uses time crystals.
Time crystals, right.
And that's just the number it gave back. So
There we go.
that's all there is to it.
Well, for now, thanks to Josie Peters,
Goodbye.
Sophie Ward,
Cheers, bye.
James Wells,
See ya.
and Matthew Shribman, that's me, and our producer, Sam Lee, and to Unbound for hosting us. You can follow us on social media by searching A Piece of String or String Podcast.
If you would like to follow me, myself, then you can find me at Josie A. Peters on Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah, and if you want to see what I'm up to, I'm on Twitter at Soph's Notes and on YouTube with the same name.
And you can follow me on social media by searching Science of the Bath or Matthew Shribman.
And if you have a quirky question of your own that you'd like a scientific answer for, then please reach out to us on any of our social media channels.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back again in a fortnight, and as usual, let's never speak of any of this ever again.